guys, this is Dave with Audio In. Today we're going to be taking a look at the SeeAudio YUME Ultra. Now, there have been a total of 4 different versions of the YUME. You had the original YUME, YUME Midnight, YUME 2, and now its 4th iteration, the YUME Ultra. We'll go over what's included in the box first. As you can see, we have the IMs. It also comes with a new upgraded modular cable that includes interchangeable 3.5, 2.5, and 4.4 terminations. Also included is a simple black hard case, several pairs of silicone tips, and a pair of foam tips. And then of course, finally, they also include a promotional placard with the same artwork that's on the front of the box. As for price, design, and specifications, the YUME Ultra comes in at $219, so it has come up in price slightly from $199. It has a hybrid driver configuration consisting of an upgraded single dynamic driver with 2 balanced armature drivers, and as I mentioned earlier, this is the 4th iteration of the YUME. All 4 versions have identical driver configurations, but they do vary in tuning styles. As for the design, I do like that they reverted back to the resin shell like the original YUME, because while I do prefer the metal aesthetics of the YUME 2, these still look really nice, but are also just a little lighter and offer slightly better fit for my ears. Again, especially when paired with the Zeos Render tips. As for the cable, I believe it's very similar to the cable that was included with the YUME 2. However, this one is upgraded, and again, it's now modular, which is really awesome because the cable was already good at this price, but now they've added the convenience of interchangeable 3.5, 2.5, and 4.4 balanced terminations. Okay, let's move on to the sound. Now, in regards to the sound of the YUME Ultra, the overall sound signature is what I would consider to be neutral, but it does have some treble forwardness. And it's actually quite similar in its presentation to the original YUME. So while the general presentation is fairly balanced, the lower treble seems to stand out just a little more than any other part of the sound signature. And because of the way they tuned the lower mids and mid bass, the overall presentation can come across as a little light and maybe even lacking in terms of bass quantity. On the other hand, this tuning approach also gives you a very clean mid-range presentation and lends itself well to certain instruments that fall within that area of the frequency spectrum and vocals, especially female vocals, in my opinion. But if we look a little closer at the sound, starting with the bass, what you'll see is fairly relaxed mid-bass with a sub-bass focus. So it gives you great bass extension and plenty of sub-bass rumble, but it's a little more polite when it comes to mid-bass punch and thump. Of course, this is a dynamic driver, so it's also going to provide good bass dynamics. And while the YUME Ultra gives you plenty of lower mid and mid-bass detail and texture, instruments and male vocals can come across as sounding a little thin and, again, kind of light, especially when compared to its predecessor, the YUME 2. But again, what you do get is lots of lower mid and mid-range clarity, and that clarity carries through all the way through the entire mid-range. Speaking of the mid-range, again, while instruments and vocals that fall within that frequency range might lack in weight, you're also not going to have to worry about instruments ever sounding muddy or unclear. And along with that clarity is a nice sense of mid-range openness and spaciousness. There's also excellent mid-range detail. Instruments are resolving and sound quite natural. However, as you move out of the mid-range into the lower treble, there is some lower treble energy that can cause some stringed instruments and drums, especially the stick attack on toms and snares, to sound a little intense and even in some cases unnatural. And if you are treble sensitive, it could maybe start to cause some listening fatigue. But again, at the same time, time, that extra energy can give some vocals and instruments a little added clarity and definition. Now, moving into the upper treble, the YUME Ultra does have adequate extension. However, it could use just a little more upper treble presence after 10K because it doesn't quite have as much sparkle and air as I would prefer. That's not to say that it has none, because it does. It's just, again, it's a little less than I like. Now, when it comes to technical performance, the YUME Ultra is above average in my opinion for its price, staying about on par with the other YUME variants. Detail retrieval is also good, but it may have benefited from a little more upper treble presence, again because it is a little below where I like it. But again, if they had just added a little more upper treble presence, it may have brought a little more treble detail out. The soundstage is good also for an IEM. It has good instrument imaging and separation, and is, again, I would say it's about on par with its YUME siblings. Now, in regards to comparison, my current favorite YUME variant is still the YUME 2 because of the additional mid-bass presence and just its overall balanced presentation. And another favorite of mine, of course, is the Performer 5. It actually still holds the top spot in this price range, in my opinion. Not only because of how well it's tuned, but also just because how natural it sounds and because of its impressive technical performance, again, for this $200 price point. So I guess in summary, the question is, would I recommend the YUME Ultra? And the answer is yes. However, it's not a strong recommendation because there is so much competition at this price point right now. That being said, I do feel like there are those who might be drawn to this type of tuning, especially those who like a more open and clear mid-range presentation. And again, while the bass quantity might lean towards the polite side, the bass quality is actually very good at this price. But those who might prefer a little more bass presence and mid-bass punch, and maybe even, again, a touch of warmth, might want to consider something else like the YUME 2 or the Performer 5. But at the end of the day, the YUME 2 does still get my recommendation, albeit a soft recommendation, but a recommendation nonetheless. So that concludes my review of the SeeAudio YUME Ultra. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch. If you like my content, please take a second and hit that subscribe button. Also, if you would please like this video, please share this video. I hope you guys have an awesome day.